Hi everyone, my name's Lorraine Reguly. Well, you probably already know that because, after all, this is a Facebook Live video and we're friends, right? So if you're joining in, then you probably want to hear me speak a little bit about my past and about what's happened to me and some of the things that I've gone through. And just to introduce myself, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lorraine Reguly, and I am the proud owner of Wording Well, which is a business that I built around my love for words. So I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a freelance blogger, and I'm also an author. And I help others become authors too. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself because my life has not always been easy. I've endured a lot of rough times. For example, I was raped when I was 14, when I was a virgin. I turned to drugs and drinking to cope. I started having suicidal thoughts because I couldn't handle what had happened to me. And I even tried to kill myself when I was 15. I ended up quitting high school several times, going back, starting again. When I was 16, I got pregnant and had an abortion. Then when I was 17, I got pregnant again, and I decided that time to keep my baby, and my son is now 27. I'm 45, and he's doing really well. So at least that's one thing I did right. I raised a son by myself who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, and eats healthy, goes to the gym all the time, works out, and is doing really well for himself. We had some rocky times though, and when I had gotten involved with prostitution, he eventually learned about it and obviously didn't like it. And it caused us to have a lot of problems in our relationship. And he ended up moving out. He moved out for 3 years. Times weren't always horrible in my life, though. I did get an education. I went to university for 5 years. I obtained a BA, which is a Bachelor of Arts, and a BEd, which is a Bachelor of Education. And I became a high school math and English teacher, which I taught high school math and English for 3.5 years before I quit. And I actually quit teaching high school to return to prostitution because it paid more money, to be honest with you. However, I went through a lot of crap when I got involved with that, and I'm going to talk more about that in a few minutes. I'm using some notes right now to remind myself what to talk about, and this is actually based on a speech that I gave when I was at the library back in June, promoting my book and talking about my recent book that I wrote. Anyhow, after I had quit high school, 2 years later, I was in an accident where I almost lost my leg. And it was after that actually my son ended up hating my lifestyle, and he disowned me and moved out for 3 years. I had no contact with him whatsoever. That was the lowest point, I would say, of my entire life. And during that period, I ended up smoking crack, which is cocaine, hardened, cooked cocaine. I smoked it for 10 months during that time. And that's basically when I hit rock bottom. And I realized, I need to do something and change my life. I did not like how my life was going. And so I quit everything. Throughout my whole entire life, I had suffered from suicidal thoughts, at different periods. And that was a really tough time too. Then what happened is I actually almost died. My appendix burst, and I had to have emergency surgery. And when I was in the hospital, literally dying from that burst appendix, I realized, hey, I don't want to die. I want to live. There's so much I haven't accomplished yet. There's so many dreams that I still want to fulfill. And at that point, that was when I had that epiphany, and I realized, what, I have to reconnect with my son. I have to get him back in my life. I have to make some changes. I have to do all of the things that I want to do. So I did. I ended up finding out where my son was working. I called him at work, and we ended up talking. We ended up reconnecting. And it was because of our reconnection and because I had made those changes, those positive changes in my life, that he gave me a second chance, and we repaired our relationship. And it was because of him that I ended up buying my very first laptop, that I ended up starting a blog, that I ended up pursuing a writing career, which I've always wanted to do. Because when I was in university, I actually wrote a book about Canadian poetry, and I made 3 copies of that book. One was to submit to my professor, another one I actually sold to my computer teacher, and one I kept for myself. So this is a book. It's never been published. I'm thinking of publishing it now. So it's on my to-do list. But I kind of got sidetracked with blogging, and I discovered I really liked it. And so then while I was blogging, I learned about self-publishing. I learned how to go through all of the steps to publish a book, which I ended up publishing my first book back in 2014, and that was Risky Issues. I don't have a copy of that to show you. However, I ended up, because of reconnecting with my son and all the positivity that was in my life, I ended up growing my business. I got featured on top blogs like ProBlogger. Just a lot of things really started happening for me. I started using positive affirmations. I started using different strategies to grow my business and to become a happier person in general. And once I did all that, I decided, well, okay, what actually happened was when I wrote my blog post about my suicide attempt, what happened was I noticed that a lot of people were reading it. I looked at my analytics for my blog stats, and I was getting like over 500 visitors a day reading that blog post. And it really saddened me that so many people in this world were suffering from depression and wanted to kill themselves. And I was happy to share my story with them. But then I thought, you know what, there's more that I could be doing for these people. And so I decided to write my book. And that's why I wrote From Nope to Hope, because I wanted to share all of my experiences, all of the strategies, and everything that I've used in my life to deal with those kinds of thoughts, to deal with my depression, to deal with all the negativity and remove all that negativity from my life. Because when you're feeling depressed and when you're feeling suicidal, you can't think clearly and you don't know what to do. And sometimes if you have something like a book like this that you can turn to, maybe that might be what saves you in the end. And in my book, I even included at the end of each chapter, I've included like a little work section where you can write in, you can fill in the blanks, you can fill in the charts, you can do whatever. And that's at the end of each chapter. There's a thought and exercise section for people to do. So anyhow, this book and suicidal thoughts and dealing with all this is one of the reasons I decided to do this video. Not just to promote my book. Obviously, I want you, to buy it, and if you know somebody who might need it, to tell them about it. But because I share all of the strategies and the techniques that I've used to overcome my depression and suicidal thoughts, so that I could live a happier and healthier life. And I don't think it's fair for me to keep all that information to myself. And so that's why I've decided to share it with everybody. So in this book, there's actually 5 true stories, including mine. There's 8 temporary and long-term coping strategies. There's 9 ways to release your negative emotions. There's 6 other ways to release negativity from your life. There's a whole chapter which I just actually turned into my latest blog post on Wording Well about using positive affirmations. So you kind of get a freebie there, because if you go to my blog, that's the most recent blog post. I just published it like 2 days ago. So you get a free chapter. I just wanted to let you know that, that's one of the things that I'm just kind of giving away. So it's how to change your mindset by using positive affirmations. Then there's how to use meditation, the law of attraction, and visualization. A whole chapter on that, and that's actually going to be the next blog post that I publish on my site. Just because, like I said, there's so much information that I have that I don't think I should keep to myself. I want to share it with everybody, and I want to do it for free. I've included 22 habits of a healthy lifestyle. I've included 9 ways to change your self-image. And that's something I've struggled with my entire life, because I've been overweight my whole life. And, even though people tell me that I look really good and that I'm pretty and whatever else, I still don't think highly of myself sometimes. But that's the depression that, that kind of takes over my mind. And so into dealing with that, I've had to, overcome a lot of that negativity and change my thoughts from negative to positive. So even though I'm still overweight, I'm working on it. I'm trying to change it. And I'm also feeling better about myself because of all the different things that I've been doing in different areas of my life. And that includes setting and attaining goals, which I've included a chapter in my book on that. I've also included 5 ways to conquer procrastination, because, we're all famous for that, right? And there's a couple of chapters on how to create your path to a happier life and how to make your happiness last. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a built-in workbook at the end of every chapter. And I also included a poem, and I've recited this poem before, but I want to recite it again because I think you'll get something out of it. It's called In One's Eyes, and it's also published on my website on Wording Well. So if you want a copy of it, you can feel free to look it up and just go read it and whatever. So here it is. As I search into her eyes, I see loneliness and fears. Her face seems so empty, except for those few tears. These tears keep on flowing more and more from her eyes. She makes no sound at all, only distant, muffled cries. She wants to express her feelings on many a different thing, but she feels that if she does, only more loneliness it would bring. She wishes that she had a friend into whom she can confide, an understanding, caring person who would always be by her side. But instead she has no one to turn to in time of need. She feels like she is trapped and would very much like to be free. As I search deeper and deeper, I see more clearly into her eyes, because now the tears have stopped and no longer are her cries. They have disappeared, although not completely, for they continue deep down inside, but she now feels strong enough to regain her sense of pride. But again, her feelings weaken her, and again I see a familiar tear. She seems so far away from me, but yet she seems so near. I extend my hand to comfort her. I know I'm reaching in the right direction, but all I feel is the flats of the mirror, because I'm staring into my own reflection. So that poem, if you've ever felt alone or have been lonely or suffering from depression or something like that, I'm sure you could probably relate to it. Now, as I promised you, I'm going to talk about my past, about prostitution, and please forgive me if I end up breaking down crying, because sometimes I do get very emotional because of the way that I've been made to feel and the things that I've had to go through in my life. I'm I actually started writing something one day, and I was just writing about my feelings. And then when it came time to speak at the library back in June and talking about my book, I thought, this would be good to turn into part of my speech, and I might even put it in a future blog post. I don't know. Anyways, I titled it Less Than Human because that was how I was made to feel, all because I chose to earn money through prostitution. Um, Back then, how I ended up doing it was what I would stand on the street corner and I would wait for people to pick me up. People driving by would throw things at me. They would call me names, derogatory names. Once I was hit and pushed out of a truck, I fell into some cement and got hurt. Once I was shot at with a paintball gun, and I was hit in my arm. Broke the skin, started bleeding. It took like 3 weeks to get better. Made me feel like I was an inch tall. Made me feel less than human. These are only some of the memories that I have, a very small part of the things that have damaged me. I don't like to remember these things, but our memories are a part of our lives, and that's just a fact. When I was a prostitute, I was a sex object, a receptacle, someone who was used for one purpose and then discarded like trash. And yeah, I chose that life, but no, I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed the money I made, but I lost my self-respect and the respect from others doing it. I lost some friends. They didn't want to associate with me because of what I was doing. I was viewed as someone who was dirty and diseased. Actually, in reality, I was really hygienic. I used condoms all the time for everything, for sex, for blowjobs, for people wanting to touch me. I made them put them on my fingers. Like, I rinsed my mouth out with mouthwash all the time. I carried a small bottle of it with me in my purse. I carried hand sanitizer. I was super, super clean. I wasn't, like I showered each day. I was always clean. I never had a disease. I never used needles. I was never a junkie. But yet I was made to feel as though I was garbage. And there's many stigmas and stereotypes regarding prostitution, and they exist because they're sometimes true. But I always thought of myself as an exception. I was not like the other hookers on the street. I was cleaner, I was nicer, I was better. The problem with being a former prostitute is that these stereotypes are something I still face. I'm an honest person. I tell the truth. I don't hide my past. And, I know I made bad choices in my life, but I don't think I should be punished for them now, years later. And yet I am. I still have to deal with negative comments that are hurtful, and comments that somehow hold the ability to make me feel less than human, even now, and undeserving of feeling loved. Being made to feel this way is awful. I'm sure that you'll agree. But actually feeling this way is even worse. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. And most people, they say things without thinking. They don't think about how hurtful their words can be to others, or how much of an impact they can actually make. So I would like to caution you and challenge you to think before you speak when you're with your friends, your family, a group of people that you just met, anyone, because you have no idea what that person might be going through. And your hurtful words could potentially be what puts someone over the edge and causes them to commit suicide. And you definitely don't want that, right? As someone who's had suicidal thoughts for most of her life and attempted suicide once when I was 15, like, this is a super serious matter. And some people aren't as strong as you think. And it could be one small comment that, just causes them to lose control of their mind and kill themselves. People look at me now and they think, oh, Lorraine, you're so strong. You've overcome so much. And, you're an inspiration to everybody and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that I still have bad days. I still suffer from depression sometimes. And I am still emotionally fragile. I try and put on a happy face. I try and act strong. I try and pretend that things don't bother me. But inside, I'm often crying and I'm often depressed. Yes, I've learned how to deal with my depression and these suicidal thoughts. And now, I'm living a happier life. And I do have way more days where I'm happy than when I'm sad. And, that's a really good thing. But that's because I've used all of the strategies that I talk about in the book. And I use them regularly. And, weeks can go by and I won't even think about, anything at all. And, everything's going fine. But when I do get down or depressed or start feeling like something isn't quite right in my mind, I go back to those strategies. I turn to them. And now it's really cool because I actually have a book to read. Everything's all right there in one nice package. So I didn't write this book just for others. I wrote it for myself as well. People like me have learned to hide our feelings quite well. And often nobody, to look at me, nobody would ever suspect what's going on inside my head. And, I've even thought I should become an actress. I'm so good at hiding my feelings and hiding things that, maybe I should be in Hollywood and on this TV screen. But, I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of feeling the way I felt for so long. And I'm tired of feeling less than human for sure. And, I don't normally feel that way anymore. Now I'm on a mission to spread awareness to others. And, I want to change the world. I want to change people. I want to help people. I've been helping, writing that blog post about my suicide attempt and listening to all the stories and comments that people have left for me, and reading emails that people have sent me, and, telling me how I've saved them and how I've changed their life and how, I've impacted them. I mean, it's so great to hear. Like, I never thought I would be in a position of, like, such power to be able to help someone actually save their life or change their life or make, such an impact on them. I also had no idea that blog post would end up on the first page of Google, which is why everybody started reading my story. I guess that's just a testament to my excellent writing abilities and my SEO knowledge as a blogger. So I thought that was kind of cool. But, people experiencing suicidal thoughts, they feel less than human too. They feel trapped in their minds, and they feel like there's no answer, there's no solution. And I'm here to tell you that there is. I mean, there's strategies that you can use, there's techniques you can implement in your lives to make positive changes. I know because I did it. You know, I mean, I'm a freelance writer and author now. I'm a blogger. I have my own business. I'm living life according to how I want to live it now. And it's a great feeling. Um, you probably already know somebody who has suffered from depression. In fact, you might know a lot of people. It could be your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your husband, your wife, your cousin, your child, your best friend, somebody you went to school with, anybody. Most people with suicidal thoughts, though, they hide their feelings and they don't talk about them. They wait until it's too late and they only mention them in a suicide note right before they kill themselves. That's what happened to one of my friends. His sister killed herself. And when he told me about that, I couldn't believe it. Everything that him and his family went through. And so I actually invited him to share his story in my book. And obviously I changed the names of everybody who contributed their stories to my book just to protect their privacy and, you know, to avoid lawsuits and whatever else. But they're true stories, all from people I know, all from my Facebook friends. And, you know, it's really sad. And it's hard sometimes to recognize the signs of someone who's depressed or suicidal because sometimes there are no signs. You know, people hide them so well. And that's why it's really important to talk about these issues and to get things out in the open and to raise awareness about this. You know, because it is such a sensitive issue and it's hard to tell who's feeling this way just by looking at them. So that's one of the reasons why I want to urge you to always think about what you say to other people. Consider how hurtful your words could be, and instead try and be understanding and sympathetic and treat others the way that you want to be treated. Be kind, be loving, show them that you care. Let them know that you're there for them no matter what. Keep an open mind and don't be judgmental. Express concern. Sometimes a smile and a hug is all they need, and a smile and a hug will really go a long way. So will a few kind words. I remember once when I was in high school, I was having a particularly bad day, and one of my teachers took me aside and asked me how I was doing. He was really perceptive and could tell, I guess, just by looking at me that something was wrong. I pretended that I was fine, but his concern for me made a huge difference in my life that day. And I will never forget how much those few simple words meant to me. And when I went and spoke at the library and pretty much gave this entire speech to the people there, I called it that teacher of mine. It's been like 30 years since I've spoken to him. I called him up and I told him, like, hey, you know what? I remember what you did for me that day, you know, just by saying, hey, Lorraine, are you okay? You know, I still remember that. It made an impact on me. And I told him about my book. I told him about, you know, my accomplishments. I told him about all the crap I've been through in my life. And, you know, we had a really good discussion. And he actually invited me to call someone who is in the school system and maybe next year when school starts up, get into the schools and do some speaking events to the students there. So, you know, I thought that was pretty cool too. So if you suspect someone that you know might be struggling with depression or suicidal thoughts, don't ignore your suspicions. Act on them. Talk to them. Reach out to these people. Open the lines of communications. Tell them about my book. Buy my book and give them a copy. You might just save their life. Again, my book, From Nope to Hope, How I Overcame My Suicidal Thoughts and How You Can Too. It is available in print from CreateSpace. It's available on Amazon, all over Amazon. Any Amazon link you want to visit, you'll be able to find it, From Nope to Hope. The cheapest options available on my website, though. So I will post the link to that below the video after the video is published here. And, you know, really think about, you know, helping your friends instead of hurting them. Because sometimes all a person needs is one friend to reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? I'm here for you. And I want you to be that person to them, because you, like me, can actually save someone's life. So please share this video. Please pass on this message. And I guess I'll talk to you in the comments. Thanks, everyone.